Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about 3 mistakes that new project managers make when managing their first project and how to correct this. Hi, my name is May Sunday and I have over 10 years of experience working as a project manager. I have managed projects of all sizes, medium, small, large, and complex. If you're new to my channel, thank you for joining, and please subscribe and like the video if you find this useful. And for my returning subscribers, welcome, and you know that I've got you. So let's get right in. Number 1 mistake that a new project manager make when they get into their role or handed over a new project is that they say yes to everything. When someone asks you to add something new into a project that the scope has already been agreed, what you want to do is review the request. You don't say, yes, I'm going to do it straight away. You would say to them, I would like to review the request so that I can see where the priority lies for the new additional item you would like to add on. Then you want to go and assess the new request to see whether or not it is going to be in alignment with what you plan to deliver. You want to ask them, what is the impact if we have this added on or not? For example, if you've had a new clinical team ask you to add a functionality that was not previously agreed, even though it might sound like a scope creep, you want to ask them as to what is the impact if we don't have this on? Is this a must-have or should-have? On what priority list does this fall under? Because this would help to make the decision as to whether you want to add that request or you want to put it into a next phase if there is one. You also want to assess for resource, timeline, any additional cost to the new request, because this would impact not only the decision but also the time frame that is given for you to deliver your project. So before you get anything approved or say yes that you can do that, you want to first assess and check that you are actually in the right position to accept new requests. Number 2 is not having defined roles and holding people to account. As a new project manager, you're going to be working cross-functional. You're going to be working with different people from different levels and different departments, and not having a defined role can be a detriment to your project and to yourself as well. Because if you don't define what people are supposed to be doing, there's going to be a lot of assumptions. People will think somebody is doing something and they're not. So you want to make sure that you have a defined role, and when someone isn't fulfilling those roles, you want to remind them what they've committed to. So have a defined role and ensure that people know what they need to be doing and you are holding them to account for that. For example, a lot of PMs that I've seen and have come to me is that they take on too much work. They don't delegate the work when they've got it. Because they haven't defined who is doing what, you see them taking on tasks that are not theirs. They do the work themselves, and then that puts them into an exhaustion mood, because when they're exhausted and doing everybody else's work, you don't have the sight to do the work that you should be doing as a project manager. So you want to make sure that you have a defined role, a defined responsibility, and hold people to account to what they've committed to do. How you can correct this is by clarifying roles and responsibilities at the start of a project, during the project, and in meetings. If you have new people join the project at some point, make sure that you are clear as to what they're there for and what they'll be doing. In meetings where you take actions, remind people of what their actions are, who is doing what, so that no one is assuming that somebody else is doing something that somebody else should be doing. And that gives you a little bit of relief, because you have a tracker to know who is doing what, and it's very easy for you to approach that person to talk to them about their performance if they're falling short. Number 3 is scoring the issues and risk incorrectly. Risks and issues are very important in a project because it helps you track what is critical, what could happen. And if you are scoring it incorrectly, it will also mean that you can't get the support and resolution you require as soon as possible. What I see a lot of new project managers do is that they score the risks and issues based on their knowledge. They don't score them based on the impacted area, they score it based on what they think that it should be. Well, You want to make sure that when you're scoring your risk and issues, you have the project team members that are impacted. You have the service, the businesses, the department that this relates to, and you get them to do the scoring. You don't do it. You can propose a scoring, but you are not the one doing that scoring. That needs to come from the services and the business that is impacted, just so that you are not missing anything. For example, issue, if you scored a clinical functionality as a low issue, it means that the supplier who is meant to be rectifying those issues will put it at the back burner. They wouldn't review that issues immediately because you scored it as a low. It means that they would have to review and work on more urgent work. That is why you need a clinical personnel to review a clinical risk or a clinical issue and provide mitigation. You want to make sure that a clinical personnel is the one reviewing those risks and issues with you, and they can provide the right score so that when your supplier is working with you to rectify those issues, they would deal with them based on urgency. They would deal with them based on priority. They wouldn't ignore your issues because you've scored them low. They would make sure that they are working with you to get that rectified. If you found it useful, remember to follow me, like and share. And until my next video, stay blessed.